All right, it is straight up 10 o'clock. Well, 10 o'clock Mountain Time. So it is straight up right on the hour. So I want to respect your time and thanks for those of you who are here. And we're just going to go ahead and jump on in and get started. If you could just head over to the chat real quick, give me a yes or an okay, make sure you can hear me okay. I want to make sure the volume's great, and then we are ready to roll. Okay, perfect. So I'm getting some yeses, so that's a good sign. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic on the webinar, what we're going to be talking about is the 100 transaction blueprint. So what I've found from all the time that I've spent marketing in the real estate industry, and I'll tell you my background in a second for those of you who are not familiar with me, but what I've found is that there are certain patterns, certain principles, and certain things that are required to get to that elite level of production where we're talking about 100 plus transactions in a year. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing on this webinar today is I'm going to be showing you the exact blueprint, the step-by-step strategy. For those of you who have been to some of the trainings and classes that I teach, you'll know that I'm very screenshot-oriented, very detail-oriented. And so our objective today is for you to be able to leave and know exactly what it takes to get to that level. And that's going to be our focal point today. So without any further ado, here's what we're going to be covering. So the first thing I'm going to be covering is exactly the blueprint, what it takes to generate 100 transactions per year. Again, there is a strategy and a process to this in order to reach that level, and so that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you. We're also going to be talking about examples of lead generation campaigns that are generating at least 200 leads per month. So a lot of you, some of you may be knocking on doors, or you may be cold calling, or you may be doing whatever it is you're doing in your business to generate new opportunities. But chances are a lot of those opportunities are not producing leads at this kind of volume. And I'm going to show you exactly what it takes and also exactly what it costs to do that. Next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to get 4 to 8 transactions per month from just your online marketing. So this is where you start getting into that elite level, is that when you're starting to produce this kind of volume, these kinds of transactions, there's a snowball effect where that snowball just gains mass as it continues to roll. And you'll see that as we progress through today's webinar. And then lastly, I'm also going to show you how to increase your referrals and your repeat business, because that's a very important component of this as well. So this is going to be our focal point for the next 60 to 90 minutes. And I'll also take some time at the end to answer questions for those of you who have any. So if you have any, feel free just to throw those in the chat. I probably won't respond to the questions until at the end, but go ahead and throw there, and then I'll just review them at the end of the webinar today. So that's what we're going to be covering. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me, let me tell you a little bit about my background. So you're seeing here some pictures of me and my family. So there's 4 of us. Me and my wife, we've been married for 22, going on 23 years. We have 2 kids. So my son that you see right there, he is 17, almost 18. He'll be a senior in high school this year. And then my daughter, she is 14, and she is going into 9th grade. That picture that you see right there, that was our black belt test. So all 4 of us are first-degree black belts. We studied karate for many years, and it was great to have something to do together as a family. My son is about the same height as I am. He's about 6'6". My daughter is not much shorter. She's about 6'1", 6'2". And they both, my son loves basketball. She loves volleyball. And so their coaches are really glad that they both play, because they're both really tall and they're really good at what they do. And so that's just a little bit about my family. My background is when I first, I was a 22-year-old kid. I decided to go get my real estate license, and I just figured that was the way I was going to make all my money on this planet. And again, I was a 22-year-old kid. I was super naive. I knew nothing about nothing. And I just assumed people were going to do business with me because I had a license that said they could. Hopefully that is not your marketing strategy. That didn't work very well for me. And I'm going to suggest that it's not going to be a good plan for you as well. So I struggled to generate business. To keep things very short, I ended up getting out of the business in less than 2 years because I didn't know how to generate business. And the things that people taught me as far as calling for sale by owners and calling expired listings and doing all those things that people teach you, frankly, it just didn't produce results for me. And so I got out of the business, and that's where everything really started for me. So with that, so got someone saying they're not getting audio. I think everybody else is getting the audio. And for someone asking if they're going to get slides, yes, I'm going to be sending out a replay after we're done today. So with that being said, like I said, nothing really worked for me. And so I spent the next 15 years studying everything I could about marketing, about lead generation, business development, just because I wanted to learn how to solve my own problem. I wanted to learn what it was that caused people to do business with you and how to market. And so that's how things started. So I started my own business again. And with that time that I spent, I have now generated over 20,000 leads for my clients, all of it online, majority of it through Facebook, but some through some other sources as well, which I'll share today. And basically, I have also been awarded as one of the top 25 real estate coaches in the US. So I don't say all this to brag or to say how awesome I am. It's just simply to say, you're not my guinea pigs. This is time-tested, proven stuff that I'm going to show you. And again, I'm going to show you actual screenshots, actual things that make a difference. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. So with that, what I've found from experience is that there are 5 key things that are required for your success in digital marketing in today's day and age. So number 1, you have to have a commitment to a blueprint. So what I find from some agents trying to figure this out is because they're trying to figure it out on their own, they don't really have a path. They don't really have a system that they're working towards. And so the system is that proven roadmap that's going to get you from point A to point B. And I'm going to go through all of these 5 points in details. In fact, this is really the focus of today's webinar, are these 5 points. The second point is if you want to get to that 100 transaction per year level, it's going to require leverage in your business. There's going to be absolutely no way for you to do that with marketing methods that don't apply leverage. There's just no way to do it. And so leverage is going to be a key component of this as well. And I'm going to show you examples of what that looks like and what that means. The third piece is that campaigns are key to your success. So a campaign is a series of steps. Again, I'm going to show you that, but very rarely does one ad or one post on social media make all the difference. It's usually a series of them, and that's what makes the biggest difference. The fourth key to success is you have to have a lead follow-up system. One of the big mistakes I see a lot of agents make is that they will have something that's generating leads, but they are not getting, the follow-up just isn't happening. So that's why it's important for you to have a lead follow-up system, because the money is going to be made in the follow-up. You can generate all the leads that you want, but the simple truth is most of those people are not going to be ready to do business with you right away. And so it's going to be critical for you to be able to have a system that's following up. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to capitalize and monetize those leads that you're generating. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about shortening the curve. There is a lot to learn. There are a lot of things in place, and I'm going to give you a process and a methodology to be able to shorten that, to be able to do that. So, and just to make sure, I've got one person saying they're not getting audio. Everybody else is still hearing me, correct? Just give me a yes or an okay, then I know you're still hearing me. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so that is going to be our focus point. So let's just jump right in. So the first area is commitment to a blueprint. So our first step is we need to find a proven system, and then it's just really simply a process of implementing it. So with that in mind, basically you have to commit, right? Because doing the same thing that you're doing isn't going to bring new results. So the process is I find people just get stuck in patterns and ruts, and rather than doing something new, they think that just doing more of the same thing is going to produce more results. And I couldn't find that to be more untrue. So let me give a prime example of that. I know a lot of people with social media and with Facebook, their expectation is they're going to create a business page, they're going to post lots of stuff, they're going to post once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever kind of frequency they choose. And so they post, and then you ask them the key questions. How many leads did you generate? How much business did you do? Usually the answers to those questions are very little. And so just by posting more, that's not going to change your results. You've got to do something new. And for many of you, it may require adopting new technology, new strategies, new methods. But you've also got to understand that those new strategies and new methods have purpose behind them. And that's what's going to help you get the results that you're looking for. So with that being said, it's going to take work. It's going to take dedication. There's strategy, intention. It takes focus. But the point here is if you've got a roadmap, it's just being intentional and focused on the key things that really matter. This is not something that's going to take all of your time, but it will take some time and it will take some patience. So if your expectation is you flip a switch and you have 100 transactions tomorrow, then I would tell you the system that I'm going to show you is not for you. It's not going to produce those results. It's probably, you'll start seeing results in forms of leads right away. But in all honesty, it's probably going to take a couple of months before those leads are ready to do business with you. You know, maybe they have to get their credit fixed, or maybe they have to get money for a down payment, or get the home ready to sell, or wait for the kids to graduate, or 1,000,001 other reasons. So what I find over and over again in the real estate industry is that we can generate leads right now, but because of the cycle, the sales cycle within real estate, they're probably not going to be ready to do business with you for, it could be 30, 60, 90 days, who knows, right? And so again, I'm not going to tell you otherwise because that would just be lying to you. It is going to take some work. It does take dedication. It takes a little time. But if you're willing to put in those elements, you're going to be able to see great results. So this is why it just requires a plan that's proven to produce results. Otherwise, you're spending all your energy and all your time on things that don't work. So the Hunter transaction blueprint, basically at its simplistic level, looks like this. So we break it down into 4 different categories. So our marketing, prospecting, sales, and service. So our focus in marketing is to generate a lead. Now that lead can come from a lot of different sources, and I'm going to show you examples of lead generation campaigns today. That's a core fundamental part of this system that I'm going to teach you. But with leads are generally just a one-way communication. You're speaking to them, and whether it's they've requested information on a property, whether they want a CMA, a list of homes, whatever it is that you're offering them, they've accepted that offer. And at that point, that's when they become a lead. Now, our next objective, once they've become a lead, is to turn them into a prospect. That's where prospecting comes in. So for prospecting, in my mind, I always picture the prospector, right? The person who scoops up all the dirt and they're sifting through it. And most of it is garbage, but they find these little nuggets, and the nuggets make it all worthwhile. This is very much the same thing and the same analogy for the real estate industry. With prospecting, what we're doing is we're sifting through the leads to find the ones that are ready now, and those are the ones that we're going to work with. And the ones that aren't ready now, we're going to stay in contact. We're just going to keep working with those people until they re-engage. That's what my definition of a prospect is now they're communicating 2 ways. You're talking to them and they're speaking back. And during prospecting, it's just about qualifying them. When are they ready to buy or sell? Are they qualified? Have they been pre-qualified, or whatever that situation looks like? It's just qualifying the lead to turn them into a prospect. Once that happens, then it's the sales part. So that's where you would either be listing the home, showing them homes, getting under contract, doing all that stuff. So again, the process is just following up, adding value, being that trusted advisor so that they know, like, and trust you, and that's the way that they want to do business with you. And then finally is the service part. So once you've taken care of the sales, the service part is where we turn them into a raving fan, and this is how we increase reviews and referrals. So I find a lot of agents, once they've made a sale, they forget about the sale that they just made and they start moving on to the next one. When the truth is, the best lead that you could ever generate is a satisfied client, because a satisfied client is going to tell other people. They'll also likely do business with you again in the future at some point. So when they need to buy or sell, they're likely to use you again if you stay in touch and provide great service. And so all of this is connected to one process that as we go through and we add volume to this, this is the format of how we're going to get to that 100 transactions per year level. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into to the rest of this process. Now, the three biggest search engines on the planet are Facebook, Google, and YouTube. So Facebook, Google, and YouTube. And my question to you is, are you present and active with these three platforms? If this is where the majority of people online are spending their time, then doesn't it just make sense that this is also where you need to be? So let me give you an idea of what this actually looks like. Google is the #1 search engine on the planet, and they are currently averaging 3.5 billion searches per day. That is insane when you think about it. 3.5 billion searches per day. So when people go to Google and they're searching for real estate or real estate agents or questions regarding real estate, are they finding you? And if the answer is no, then that's something that we want to change, right? That's one place that you definitely need to be, because that's where people are looking. If someone is looking for a home, they will often go to Google and search for real estate. And so if you're not being found for those real estate related terms, again, that's just opportunities that you're missing out. The second biggest search engine on the planet is YouTube. So Google owns YouTube, for those of you who don't know. And so basically the process is if you rank well on YouTube, you also rank well on Google. YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world, and they have 5 billion video views per day. Again, it's insane when you think about what that number actually means. But people are watching 5 billion videos per day. So again, same question. If you're not active on YouTube, if you don't have a presence there where a lot of these people are, then again, my response to you would be you're missing out. And then the third biggest search engine on the planet is Facebook. Again, Facebook has a huge following. The numbers they report are just shy of 2 billion active daily users. So people that are on their platform every single day. Obviously, their audience is much larger than that, but when we're talking about daily, it's 2 billion people per day. So when you think about the number of your prospects, the people that you want to be in front of, if this is where they're spending your time, where they're spending their time, it just makes sense that you need to be present and active where they are spending their time, so that when they're thinking about real estate and they come across that, you're the one that they see. So with that being said, let's get into it. The math of how this works is like this. So let's say that you have past clients and sphere of influence. Those numbers are going to be different for everybody, but just to put some numbers to this, let's say you've got a list of 500 people that either are on your SOI or your past clients. So if that's the case, the statistic in the industry is that people move every 7 to 10 years. So if people move every 7 to 10 years, the math of that is that 1/10 of your database is going to be moving in the next 12 months. So if you had a list of 500 people and you stayed in contact with them, 1/10 of those people are going to be moving or selling within the next 12 months. So that would be 50 transactions that's going to occur within that group. Now, again, since these are people that you have some level of a relationship with, if you stay in touch with those people, you really should earn the lion's share of that business. So if that's the case, and if you're consistent in marketing to them, you should be winning 90% of that business. Plus, there's going to be some referrals in there. So that's where about half of your transactions are going to account from. Now, some of you may be sitting there, well, Kevin, I don't have a database of 500 people. I just moved to this area, or whatever that looks like for you. If you don't have 500 people, that's okay. It's just going to take a little time to scale up to that so that you have a database like that. But here's how the other half of this works. We still need 50 transactions to get to that 100, right? So the lead conversion rate in the real estate industry is actually 1%. I'm going to show you systems that will help you get to 2, 3, 4% lead conversion rates. But let's just take 2% as a number. If you have a 2% lead conversion rate, the way the math works out is that you need a database of 2,500 contacts, 2,500 leads. So if you do 2,500, you divide by the 2%, that's going to be your 50 transactions to make up the difference. So if you do the math, 2,500 leads in a year, that means you need to be generating 200 leads per month to get to that level. So you've got to have systems and marketing in place that's providing that kind of volume. And this is why we're going to talk about leverage in a second, but this is why door knocking, cold calling, buying leads from Zillow or any of the other lead providers, you're probably just not going to get to the volume that you need to make the numbers work. It's just a numbers game, right? So obviously the question is, where do the leads come from? And that's what I'm going to be showing you is actual screenshots, actual samples, actual lead generation campaigns that are performing at the 200 plus leads per month level. So those leads are going to come from the very places that we're talking about, your presence on Facebook, Google, and YouTube. So the key concept about this section is success happens faster, number one, when you follow a proven system. And number two, you can't get to where you want without change. It's going to require you to do something different. Now, the second area that we talk about is leverage. So again, without leverage, you're never going to be able to significantly increase your transactions. And so the question that you want to be thinking about right now is, what are you currently doing to leverage your business? Right? What is the form of leverage that you're currently using? So with that in mind, you have to really, to put this in the proper perspective, you have to understand what your time is worth. And I find that most agents have no idea what they're worth. So you have to know what you're worth per hour. So just to put some numbers to this, and obviously it's going to be different for every one of you based on your average sales prices and where you're located and all that. But let's say that an average transaction for you is a $300,000 sales price and you're earning 3% on that. So if that's the case, then you're generating $9,000 on average gross commission per transaction. So obviously some transactions are going to be more, some are going to be less, but just for the sake of example, let's stick with that number. So with that being the case, what that means, and let's also say that it takes you 20 hours of work. So what I mean by that is 20 hours of, time showing homes, contracts, inspections, generating the lead, the whole shebang. So if it takes you 20 hours of work to generate a $9,000 transaction, then what that means is you're worth $450 per hour. So that's $9,000 divided by 20 hours, and that's $450. Now, I would suspect most of you probably have a value that's more than that. So if you are doing a lot of listings, chances are you're probably not spending 20 hours with a seller, right? It's probably going to be less. Some transactions are going to take more time. Some are going to take less. But I would suspect that a lot of you, based on sales prices and how much time you're spending per transaction, you're probably more in the $500, $600, $700, even $800 per hour range. So when you think about that, if you're knocking on doors or cold calling, then your cost per lead is probably costing you around $600 to $1,000 per lead. So think about that. If you're knocking doors for 2 hours, if you're worth $450 an hour, and you get one prospect out of knocking doors for 2 hours, well, that lead cost you $900 to generate that lead. And see, a lot of you just don't think about it that way. When you're spending that much time to generate leads, your cost per lead is actually quite high because of the time that you're spending. If you're buying leads from Zillow or any of those other lead providers, if you do the math of how many leads you're receiving versus how much you're paying, my experience is most of my clients that have done that, they're spending over $100 or more per lead. So a lot of the things that agents are doing to generate business are super expensive. And that's why these are just poor forms of leverage, because it's not getting you to the level that you want at a price that's effective. So again, it's either costing you money to generate a lead or it's costing you time. And from my experience, when you're spending time to generate leads, not only can you not leverage that, but you just can't scale it either. Because by the time you've got more clients, more buyers, more sellers that you're working with, you don't have time anymore to do the things that were generating business. So that's why leverage is such a critical factor for getting to 100 transactions per year. So in order to do that, now that you've seen the math, our focus is we need to have a system that's getting us to about 2,500 leads per year to be able to make this happen. So again, when you start factoring in door knocking, cold calling, buying leads, they're just not going to produce results fast enough. right? There's just no way to generate that level of leads doing those kinds of activities. So with that being said, let's get into how this works. So here's an example. This is one of my clients, and when we started working together, he had been running ads on Facebook. And he stopped because in August of last year, Facebook made some changes to their targeting where they got rid of some of the things that agents use that were really helpful. So Facebook got rid of things like being able to target people based on home value prices, based on whether they were a homeowner or a renter or income level for the home. Facebook got rid of a lot of those demographics. And so when they made those changes, he just wasn't aware of being able to how to target people. So I showed him how to still target his ideal target audience with what he was doing. He works in an area where it's it's a very Hispanic heavy audience, and there's a lot of people who can't qualify for traditional financing, and he and his team, they provide alternative options like seller financing, lease options, and they've got a lot of programs that are very well centered on that audience. So I showed him how to still target those people. And in the last 4 months, he's generated over 1,200 leads. So the whole point of this is that by knowing the key components, knowing how to target the right people with the right offer, you can still get great results. He's got a team of people. There's he, his wife, and then 2 other people that are following up on those leads. And they're now consistently doing about 5+ deals per month just off of the leads that they're generating from Facebook. And again, I'm going to be showing you some of these examples and some of this. But here's an example. In fact, here's a screenshot directly from his ad account. So you'll notice this is the month of April. And in the month of April, if you look at the column labeled results, for that month, he generated 328 leads. And then if you look at the column amount spent, for the month, he spent $649 in ads. So for his $650 that he spent, he generated 328 leads. If you do the math, that's just under $2 per lead. Again, when you can put that in comparison with people generating leads at $600, $700, $800 because they're spending their time, it just doesn't compare. And see, the beautiful thing about this is he can set up the ads, let them run, and the ads are doing the heavy lifting for him. He now frees up his time, and that's where the leverage comes in. So here's the next month. So this is month of May, just to show you it's not an isolated incident. So in this month, he generated 388 leads and spent $723 for that outcome. So again, just under $2 per lead. Then last month, in the month of June, 371 leads at a cost of $827. So again, there are ways of getting results without having to spend tens of thousands of dollars. I come across agents, in fact, I met one at a class I was teaching a couple months ago, where their marketing budget, they were spending $10,000 a month doing direct mail and door hangers. And I was asking what kind of results they were getting from their $10,000 of ads of marketing spend. And they were generating about 2 transactions a month from $10,000 of spend. It just was really low return for what they were spending. So again, there are ways of doing this where you're going to be able to get leverage. So the key concept here is you have to understand that leverage occurs when you're using money to generate leads rather than time. Because time is such a valuable commodity, there's only so much of it, that if you're spending time to generate leads, you're never going to be able to get to a level of volume where we're talking about 100 transactions. Now, the third part is campaigns are key. So in this section, I'm going to be showing you actual lead generation campaigns, the things that are producing the kind of results that I'm showing. So what I found from experience is that success doesn't come from any one post or any one ad. It comes from the sum total of them. Right. So what I find I have people tell me all this all the time. They'll say, Kevin, can you just set up one ad camp or one Facebook ad for me? And what they don't realize is that one ad isn't what's generating the success. It's the sum total of things. So let's break that down. My definition of a campaign is it's a series of steps that when repeated in a given market produce predictable results. See, if there's a level of predictability to what you're doing, then it basically just becomes like a faucet for your business, right? You can turn it up and turn it down to whatever level you want it to. So even though the focus of this webinar is showing you how to get to 100 transactions in a year, the simple truth is you may not, your goals may not be 100 transactions. That's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you can turn down the faucet where you don't need as many leads, you don't need to spend as much money to generate those opportunities. So that's the beauty of this, is some of my clients are individual agents and they just generate enough leads for just them. Some of my clients are teams where they need to turn on the faucet a little more to generate enough leads to feed the team. I've got brokerages that I work with, and it's the same thing. They just scale it to generate leads for the office. That's the point of this, is having a campaign where there's multiple steps. You already know what the outcome is, and so you can turn that up or down as you need to. So that's why repetition is such an important part of this process, is because there are some people who are going to respond on the very first thing that you post, but usually it's the repetition of seeing you more than once where they start responding and where you start seeing this snowball effect take place. So what I find is if you have a marketing system that works like this, where we're generating leads from a variety of sources, there starts to be a compounding effect that happens. So Facebook is one of the primary tools that I use to generate leads because it's so easy to target the audience that you want to be in front of. Targeting people that have certain age ranges, targeting people in certain geographies, certain types of people, certain interests. Facebook is probably by far the best marketing platform to get your content in front of the correct people because of the targeting that Facebook offers. But when people start seeing you everywhere, so we've got ads on Facebook where people are going to respond and become a lead. Obviously, as you have listings, you're going to have signs in yards that are generating leads. With the advertising, when you advertise on Facebook, there's an option to check a box where your ads are going to third-party websites. Same if you're running paid ads on Google. You can have those ads go to third-party websites as well. If people are seeing your content on YouTube, if they're seeing you on Instagram, since Facebook owns Instagram, with one check of a box, you can have your ads go to Instagram as well. And then we use email a lot of times to drip and stay in contact with people. That's one of the parts of the lead conversion system I'm going to show you here in just a couple of minutes. But the point is everywhere people turn, they're going to be seeing your content. And it just creates this perception in their mind that you are the go-to agent. You are the top person because they just see you everywhere. And the beautiful part is you can do all of these things for very limited money. It's not something that you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on. So again, I'm showing you how you can be getting results with these things for $500, $600, $700 a month. And if you don't even have that, then start with what you've got. But for getting to that level where we're generating 200 plus leads per month, this is the system that it's going to take to get to that kind of level and that kind of volume. So again, most of what I've found from experience, the predictability part is this. Many of the campaigns that we frequently run have a cost per lead of around $3 to $5 per lead. So if you came to me and said, Kevin, I want to generate 100 leads in a month, then I would tell you to plan on a budget of around $300 to $500 running Facebook ads to achieve that objective. So again, since we're talking about getting to 2,500, that's what we're going to need to get up to that 100 transactions per year. Then we're basically talking about 200 leads a month. That's going to take a budget of $600 to $1,000 to achieve that objective. But again, if you're getting 4, 5, 6 transactions from that $600 to $1,000 ad spend, those numbers make all the sense in the world, which is why people do this, right? But the point is when you know how predictably it's going to perform, you can scale, just like we were talking about. So like we talked about, if you wanted 100 leads, then spend less. So with that being the concept and the process, let me show you some examples. So first example, this is one of the classic ones. This is where we would use a listing to generate potential interest from buyers. So as we're generating interest from potential buyers, there's some key information that we're going to withhold. So you'll notice on this ad, we do not give them the price. We do not give them the address. we specifically hold back some information so that people have a reason to engage with you. See, if you give them everything, they don't need you anymore. And so one of the ways that we generate leads is by withholding some information so that people have a reason to engage. In this case, our call to action is to get them to click on that link where they can go to get more information. When they do that, they're going to be taken to a page like this that has a landing page. So this is called a landing page, where it's a one-page website. The only thing here is this form. So either they fill out the form and become a lead, or they don't. Now, there's a lot of people at this point that say, well, Kevin, I would never fill out one of those forms, so this doesn't work. I hear that every time I teach this. So let's just talk through this process. Is everyone going to fill this form out? And the answer to that question is obviously not, right? So the statistics are that landing pages like this will convert about 10 to 20% of the time. So for every 10 people you drive to this form, 1 or 2 of those people are going to fill it out. But see, this is where most people's success stops, is because if they do anything on Facebook where they're running paid ads, they'll do this where they do the post, and then they'll do this where they've got a landing page, and then it stops there. So with campaigns, what I'm teaching you is that it's the series of steps that makes all the difference. See, for the 8 people who come to this page and never fill it out, if you're going to do what I'm going to teach you, that isn't lost traffic. It's not a lost opportunity. Just the mere fact that they clicked on your ad and came to this page, that lets you know that they're more serious than anybody else because they took the time to actually click. They came here, they saw they had to give up their information, and they didn't want to do it, so they clicked away. But the mere fact that they came to this page, on Facebook, I can do what's called retargeting. Retargeting is where I can target people with an ad based on some prior activity that they've done. So in this case, I can target people that have been to a specific web page. In this case, the web page would be this landing page right here, where I'm capturing their information. So I can then run an ad to people that have been looking at this specific property. And just the mere fact that they clicked on this ad and came to this page, let's say the property I was marketing was a home in Los Angeles, right? Then I automatically know, just the mere fact that they clicked on that, they're looking for homes in Los Angeles. So very simply, I would want to put other homes in Los Angeles in front of them. Or in this case, a home in Sandy is the one I'm using here in the example. So I know just the mere fact that they've clicked on it, that makes them a better candidate. And see, this ad where we've got multiple steps in it is going to perform a lot better simply because it's more than just one process. See, with retargeting, it's almost like a secret weapon. You're like cheating because you know who your best prospects are. So as you can see, you can target people that have been to specific web pages. You can also have this set up to where if people come to your website, you can target people that have been searching on your website. Again, if they've come to your site, those are probably going to be your more interested prospects. So this is one example of a campaign where there's a series of steps that are producing these predictable results. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. And again, I'm going to answer questions at the end. But this is a very powerful example of a campaign where there's multiple steps that are producing the results. Okay, so let me show you another example. So let's say that you do a lot of farming where there's a neighborhood where you want to focus a lot of your work and a lot of your effort because you do a lot of marketing there. I've got one client where she just dominates her market. Probably about 60% of her business comes from this one neighborhood because she just dominates that space. She's super involved in the community. And then all of her online marketing just really just helps her expand on all of that. And she's just the household name in that area. So here's an example. We would post like a market update that's going on that's specific to that neighborhood. So the market update would talk about things like average sales price, days on the market, number of new listings, new sales, et cetera, et cetera. And so with that report, it's a video. So the thing I love about video is that people get to see your face. They get to hear you. They get to know your personality. It's like, it's one of the best ways of building trust because people get to know what you're all about. And so with that video, people that are watching that, we can also track those people and retarget them. So as you can see here, I can create an audience of people on Facebook that have spent time watching videos. And the one that I often do is 50% of the video, because I know if people have watched 50% of this video, that they're probably going to be more interested than other people. Again, those are probably going to be your best prospects. And so think about it. If someone has spent 50% of their time, or if someone has watched 50% of your video, and this video is talking about market conditions, what's going on in this neighborhood, the chances of them, the reasons why they would watch that is because they're probably more interested in selling, and they just want to get a sense of what's going on in the neighborhood. So the powerful part of this is I know that those are my people who are probably more interested in selling than anybody else in the neighborhood. So with that, I can target people that have watched 50% of the video and then make a market analysis offer. Hey, are you curious about the value of your home? Right? Now, instead of this being a market analysis offer that you're making to the masses, which very few people take you up on, now it's a very targeted offer with people that have already watched your video, people that have already recognized your name and your face, and they recognize that you're an expert in that particular neighborhood. See, this is a targeted offer that becomes much more powerful than just the one ad. So again, this is another example of why campaigns are so critical to your success, is because it's not just any one step, it's the combination of that. And then when people start seeing this on all their other platforms, on Facebook, on everything else, that's where you're going to start seeing great success. So with that being said, let's go to the types of campaigns. Basically, I've run campaigns for just about anything you can imagine. Buyer leads, seller leads, using a free guide like a buyer's guide or a seller's guide to generate leads, empty nesters, investors, home buyer seminars, and so on and so forth. So again, it's just the series of steps with each one of these campaigns that makes the success happen. So the key concept here is your success is going to be compounded with multiple steps, with people seeing it in multiple places. It just creates this perception that you're everywhere and that people are going to view you as the expert and the people to come see. So that is what it takes. That's why campaigns are such a key fundamental concept for your success in getting to 100 transactions per year. The fourth piece of this is having a lead follow-up system. So frankly, in my experience and what I've seen is I find that if agents have taken the time and money to generate, have some sort of lead generation in their business, this is the biggest hole I usually find in their business, is they don't have anything that's helping them follow up. So where marketing is concerned, most agents fundamentally have two problems. Either number one, they don't generate enough leads. And then if they've figured that piece out, the second problem they normally have is they just don't convert enough of them. They have a lead conversion problem because they're just lacking in the follow-up. So let me shed some light on this, and I'll show you what I believe to be the ultimate lead conversion system. So I would, again, just this quote, nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity. If you don't have a lead follow-up system, just me being blunt and honest with you, you are leaving money on the table. And most of you, that difference in your business is 5 and possibly even 6 figures that you are missing out on because you're not following up on leads. Right? What I find from experience is I see a lot of people who buy leads or do whatever they're doing to generate leads, and if the lead doesn't turn into business on the first contact, they never talk to them again. Or they just call it a quote unquote bad lead. And what I found is that is costing them tons and tons of money. So those opportunities that you're missing is one of the most expensive things for your business. And it's one of the things that you could fix right away. So the missed opportunity looks like this. In the real estate industry, here's typically what happens. The lead response, 47% of people never even follow up with the lead, not even once. Right? Just such a huge waste of time, money, and effort to generate the lead if you're not even going to follow up with it. 24% of the time, they're following up only once. So when you look at those two, the 47 and the 24, that means 71% of the leads that are generated in the real estate industry are contacted once or less. Let that sink in. 71% of the leads in the real estate industry are contacted once or less. My experience is most people don't respond the first time, right? It takes several attempts, several follow-up. The money is in the follow-up. And so if 71% of the leads are not being contacted, frankly, really at all, then here's the next number that kind of puts that in perspective. Look at the number of contacts it normally takes to reach someone. So you'll notice when we talk about one, if you're talking about one contact, your success rate in reaching them is 39%. And the higher that goes, the higher your likelihood of being in contact with them. And that's why if all you're doing is following up once or not at all, your numbers are super low. Even if you make one extra attempt, your success rate in reaching them almost doubles. It's a huge, huge difference. So with that being said, you've just got to have a follow-up system that has multiple touches. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table. So with this, the problem with a lot of the follow-up systems in the real estate industry as they currently are, the first problem is that many of them, like we talked about, most of you or most agents I talk to have no follow-up system. Again, there's not going to be a way for you to get to the level of production that you're looking for if you don't have a follow-up system that's helping you get there. The second problem that I see with a lot of follow-up systems is they're too salesy. So one person that I subscribed to just because I wanted to take a look and see what they were doing, when I got onto their list, they had a follow-up system, and I get emails from them 2 or 3 times a week, and every single email is the exact same email. Here's an updated list of properties. Here's an updated list of properties. Do you want to go see this updated list of properties? Every email is the same. So if you're constantly being salesy, my experience is people don't respond to that very well. They just don't appreciate that. They don't view you as providing value or helping them at all. And most people, frankly, just don't like to be sold. So if they don't see the value in it, they tend to unsubscribe, they tend to go away, and you're just ruining the list, right? All of those people that you've generated leads for, it's just going to make it harder to convert if you're constantly selling, right? The second problem that I see with a lot of follow-up systems is they're too generic. So a lot of the companies who provide follow-up systems for agents, they're so generic because they have to be. They don't know your business, your area, your specifics. And so a lot of those are holiday-based, right? Happy 4th of July, Happy Veterans Day, Merry Christmas, and so on and so forth. And so again, when you think about it from a prospect point of view, if every email you got from a real estate agent was about some holiday, how long is it going to take you before you start tuning out, right? You're just probably not going to see the value in that, and you're going to go somewhere else where you find more value, frankly. So the bottom line is that most of these follow-up systems just don't produce a response from your prospects. So we want to focus on something else that's going to give you more response. So dripping is the key to this process. I am a huge fan of dripping, and I firmly believe in it. And here's how I learned this lesson. As I mentioned, when I got out of the real estate industry, I went and worked for a company that did marketing consulting for stockbrokers and financial planners. And when we would bring on a new client, the first thing that we would do is we would bring them out for a week of training. And during that week, we would teach them all of our marketing systems and the strategies and help them get everything in place. And so during that week, at the very first day of the seminar, the instructor would get up and say, okay, just to kind of show you the power of what we're going to teach you, how many of you have known about our company for less than a year, right? And, there's about 20, 25% of the hands that go up. Then it was, how many of you have known about us for between 2 to 5 years? About 50% of the hands in the room go up. And then it was, how many of you have known about us for 5 years or more? 10 years. And they just kept going until there weren't any hands. And there were people that had known about the company for 10, 15 years before they decided to become a client. So the powerful lesson that they were teaching, and what I've learned and experienced over and over and over again, is that the simple truth in any sales industry, real estate is no exception, that sales is a timing game, right? That is the bottom line truth. Sales is a timing game. And since you never know when the right time is, the only way to effectively fix that is to be there all the time. And that's where dripping comes in. But rather than just dripping on people when it's a holiday, we want to drip things that have lots of value. So dripping generates leads or generates business right now. Some of those people, the time is right. And so as you drip on them, they're going to contact you and say, okay, I'm ready to go. Dripping also generates business later, because again, some of those people will be ready down the road. But if you're adding value, if you're being that trusted advisor, you're giving them information, things that are helping them make better decisions, that creates trust, right? And then you become the person that they know, like, and trust and feel comfortable doing business with. Dripping also generates referrals. So one of the things I've seen all the time is if you're dripping information that's really valuable, people share that information with others. And that's one of the most powerful ways of generating referrals. And frankly, it's the lifeblood of any follow-up system. The power of your follow-up system, as you've seen with the number of contacts, it's just the frequency of contact. That's the key, is you just need to stay in front of them so that when they do have a real estate need, you are the one that they think of. You're the trusted professional that they go to. So in my opinion, the ultimate follow-up system looks like this. So I'm going to show you a system that adds ton of value, that people are happy to share with others, that builds trust, that places you as the real estate expert, and that not only helps you with lead follow-up, but also helps you generate new leads as well, in addition to following up. So here's what that looks like. This is where, for a large part of the system that I teach people, this is where YouTube and Google come into play. So one of the powerful things that you can do is be recording videos to be talking about topics that are common questions for people. So here's a question about what kind of work history do you need to get a loan? And this agent just simply sat down with his preferred lender. They recorded some videos and talked about these common questions, ways that people can, buy a home without a down payment, ways to improve credit. They just talk about these common questions that people have all the time, and this provides tons of value. Right? Then they simply just drip these videos out to their contacts. And what's great about these videos is that it's building trust, right? They get to see them, they get to hear them, they get to know their expertise. And that's where these things have tremendous value. But from a lead generation standpoint, the benefit of this is when you have your YouTube channel with all of these videos, it's a huge credibility piece. And think about how powerful this is with new leads as you follow up. That if somebody says, well, hey, what kind of options do I have for getting into a home without a down payment? If you can respond with a video, hey, I've already recorded, hey, here's a video I shot about that. It's going to answer all your questions, right? It's better than just text, because now they're seeing a video of you. They hear your voice. They see your face. They know exactly who you are, what you're about, and the kind of outcomes that you can help them achieve. It becomes really powerful. And then the benefit of this is because YouTube and Google are together, because Google owns YouTube, if you rank well on Google, you also rank well, or excuse me, if you rank well on YouTube, you also rank well on Google. And this is free traffic, right? This is just based on keywords and phrases and things that people are searching for. And from what I've seen in my experience, YouTube for real estate agents is almost an untapped opportunity. Very, very, very few people use it. And if they are using it, they're using it very ineffectively. This is an easy way to dominate your local market, get free traffic from YouTube and Google, and also be able to follow up with your leads in a way that's going to be extremely valuable for them. So here's another example. This is another video one of my clients shot about what it takes to buy a home after bankruptcy. Right? That was the topic of this video, same concept. He just sat down with his lender, kind of just did interview style. What kinds of things do people know? Do they need to know? What are the rules, et cetera, et cetera? And you can see this is a video it's about 3 minutes long, right? Super short. But as you can see in the comments over here to the right, people start saying, wow, this is great information. I needed to know that. They start tagging other people. And again, this is all just free publicity and free traffic that creates tons of credibility. So I'm going to show you another example. This is an example from my business because, again, I just practice what I preach. So one of the top videos on my channel is this video on how to fix negative experience ads. So sometimes when you run an ad on Facebook, Facebook will reject the ad for what they call a quote-unquote negative experience. And they don't really tell you how to fix it. So unless you know, they kind of just let you figure it out on your own. And a lot of people don't figure it out on your own. So I recorded this video specifically about that. You'll notice right here in the search results, I am search result number 1 on the first page for that keyword, right? And this is one of the highest traffic videos on my page. But because I rank well on YouTube, I also rank well on Google. So sometimes on search results of page 1 of Google, they show videos. And you'll notice right here, I am in first position for this video on Google. And again, a lot of the traffic that comes for this video comes directly from Google, right? So a lot of times when I'm teaching agents about the power of YouTube, the response they always tell me is, well, Kevin, nobody's going to YouTube to search for a home. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. That's probably true, but that's not why we're doing it, right? We're doing it for other reasons. It helps you follow up. It helps you build trust and credibility. And especially in an industry like this where people are doing business with people that they know, like, and trust, this is a huge part of that process to be able to gain their trust, get them to the point where they do feel comfortable with you because they've seen you, they've heard you, they know what you're about. But the other key part of this is, again, people are going to Google to search for real estate, right? That's one of the main areas they go. And so if I rank well on YouTube, I also rank here, and this is completely free traffic in addition to getting all of the benefits of this being my primary drip system. So it's totally customized to you. It's your face, your voice. This is super powerful. And this is where I find that people are converting more of the leads that they're generating because people just realize after seeing all this content that you're the expert, you're the one that they want to work with. And this is what I believe to be the ultimate lead follow-up system. And there's just a screenshot of that video. So again, when it comes to lead follow-up, the key concept is this. I'm a huge believer in video and a huge fan of it because video helps build trust. It helps convert leads. And when you do it right, it can also help you generate new leads. Videos are such a powerful way of marketing today. And some of you may be going, well, Kevin, I hate the way that I look and sound on video. And I get that. Frankly, I've been doing videos, especially for YouTube, for the last couple years now. And I'm still at a point where I don't like the way that I look and sound. But that's okay. The concept that I've learned is that the videos aren't for me, they're for other people. And so they're going to be a lot less judgmental about what I look and sound like. And I've just gotten to the point where, frankly, it doesn't matter. So that is the key concept, is you want to have a lead follow-up system that is helping you build trust, right? And that's what I find with a lot of the systems that already exist today, is they just don't do that. They stay in touch. Yes, you're dripping on people all the time, but it's just content that people aren't finding very valuable. And that's where the lead conversion system suffers. And then the fifth and final point of this is just being able to shorten the curve. So when we talk about all of these different platforms, being able to target people on Facebook, have those ads also go to Instagram, there's nuances there. There's things that work on one platform versus another. And a lot of those nuances are way too detailed to ever talk about in just a 60 or 90-minute training. You know, when we start talking about getting videos ranked on YouTube and making sure that those are also going over to Google and you're dominating that space, again, there's a lot to learn. There's lots of moving parts to this. If you're running Google ads, setting up your drip system, again, there's lots of moving parts to this. There's a lot to learn. And so you can shorten that process by having a guide. And that's really what I do in my business. So for people who want, I've actually set aside time in the next couple days to be able to speak to you personally about how you can apply these businesses or these ideas to your business starting today. So what this is all about is setting up this breakthrough session. And on these breakthrough sessions, I'm going to work with you directly, craft a step-by-step plan to help you hit your income goals. Because everybody's got goals at different levels. Some people want, some people want 100 transactions. Some people want 50. Frankly, from my perspective, it doesn't really matter what that number is for you. But I'm going to help you build a plan that's specific to your needs and what those numbers are so you know exactly what it's going to take. But there's a couple things that are really going to matter. So number one, you have to be ready to make real estate a full-time business. So if you've been part-time, or maybe you're towards the end of your career and you're just wanting to tone things down, then frankly, this isn't for you. We're probably not a very good fit. And it just doesn't make sense, because you're just not going to be as interested or as aggressive as what it's going to need to be able to capitalize on this opportunity the most. You've also got to be decisive and be ready to evolve your strategies. So this is where we talk a lot about leverage. So as we talked about leverage earlier, some people are just really stuck in their ways. They want to keep doing business the same way that they've done it. And we're in a different day. We're in a different age. And things are different in today's business world. So you've got to be willing to adapt and evolve the strategies to capture business in the digital space. And then lastly, you've got to be coachable. So frankly, I've run enough campaigns and I've got the systems down that I know what produces results. And because I've also tested a lot, I also know what doesn't. And so when people say, well, Kevin, that's not going to work, and then we run it and it works. Again, there's strategy behind this. There's experience behind it. I know what works and what doesn't. And so I'm looking for people that want to be taught, right? When people are telling me how to do what I do, that frankly doesn't usually go very well, because there's reasons and processes behind the strategy, right? It's not just Kevin being arrogant. So I'm looking for people that are coachable, people that want help, people that want to be able to move forward in their business. So the main reason that I'm doing this is because I want to make sure people reach new levels of success. So I told you my story. When I was an agent 20 plus years ago, I didn't have anybody that could teach me the ropes. The things that people did try to teach me, like my broker and other agents in the office, those things just didn't work. I didn't get results from them. And so one of my missions in doing what I do and running my marketing agency for real estate agents is I'm so focused on people's success because I don't want them to have the same experience that I had, right? If I can help an agent achieve their goals and keep them from failing, that means the world to me, because I know what it feels like on the other side of that. That is the reason, frankly, why I do what I do. And I know that there's probably some people who might want my help. If you don't want your help and you want to figure this out on your own, and great, right? If you've got something that's working for you, then great. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means we're probably not a good fit. And so again, I'm looking for the people who want help. That's usually where this is the best fit. And people that are looking for a system and a strategy that they can just start implementing and start seeing results from. So with that being said, for people who want to find out more, if you'd like to find out more about our services and how I might be able to help you achieve your real estate goals, then just go to this website. Go to kevinsmullin.com/apply. You'll be able to book one of those strategy sessions and be happy to have that one-on-one conversation with you and craft that specific plan that you're going to need to reach your goals. Now, there are a limited amount of spots available, so if you want one, I recommend going sooner than later. Otherwise, those spots might be gone. And again, I'll just have a conversation with you on the phone. We'll talk through your goals, see what it is that you want to achieve, and we'll put together some very specific steps to help you achieve that. So that is the end of what we wanted to cover today, of how to get to 100 transactions. Again, it comes down to those 5 things. Number 1, you've got to make that commitment to a blueprint. Have a system, have a strategy. If you don't have a system, you're probably not going to get to the end result that you want. Second thing we talked about was leverage, making sure that you've got systems in place that are providing leverage. That if you can spend money to generate leads rather than time, that is a huge form of leverage in your business, because you can start showing homes and have leads come in. You can go to a listing appointment and leads come in. Right? You're able to free up your time to be able to work in your business while your marketing is generating more opportunities for you. The third principle we talked about was campaigns are key to your success. Again, my experience is that success often doesn't come from any one thing that you do. It's the sum total of them. So we want to have marketing campaigns with multiple steps, multiple contacts, multiple touch points, because that's where you're going to see your greatest form of success. And it's going to be more exponential that way. And the fourth part we talked about was having a lead follow-up system. Again, you want to make sure you've got a system that generates trust. That's where people get to the point where they feel comfortable doing business with you. With that system, we want to set you apart as the real estate expert. You're the go-to authority. And again, in my opinion, shooting videos about specific content, questions people ask all the time, it is so powerful to include that into your drip system that people will love that content. They'll gladly share it with others. And then when posted the correct way, you can not only use it for following up, but that content can also be generating new business for you as well. And a great thing about that is that it's totally free. So you can spend money on ads to increase that even more, but ranking well on YouTube means that you rank well on Google, and it's completely organic. It's totally free. So that is today's webinar. That is what it takes to get to 100 transactions per year, is having those systems in place. So I'm going to stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions. If you have any questions, feel free just to go to the chat, and then I will stick around and answer them. Otherwise, have a great day. Appreciate you being here, and we'll talk to you soon. I will also be sending out a recording of this so that you've got any of the slides or anything else you want to know so far. Cool. So one of the things that I mentioned during the webinar that we didn't talk about a whole lot is when we talk about marketing to your past clients and your sphere of influence, one of my favorite ways to do that is actually running Facebook ads to those people. So you may or may not know that you can take a list of people, you can upload that list directly to Facebook, and you can start running ads directly to them. Okay, so with that, basically what Facebook is looking for is when you upload that list, Facebook is primarily looking at the email address and their phone number because that's how they match people. Right? So when we create a user account on Facebook, that's the information that we're providing to Facebook to create that account. And so that's how they match people. So one of my favorite strategies is to upload that list, run ads directly to them. And what's cool about it is, from their perspective, they don't know that you're targeting them directly, right? Because on their end, it looks like it's just an ad that's showing up in their newsfeed. And it's completely normal. It's kind of, I kind of give it this example. It's very similar as if somebody was driving down the street and they saw a billboard and they're going to be like, you know, hey, there's Kevin, right? They don't view it as a direct solicitation, so it doesn't change that relationship at all. It was a direct solicitation, and because I was directly soliciting them and asking them for a referral, not only did I not get a lot of referrals, but I damaged a lot of relationships. And so with that, what I found was that when I would see those people again, because I had directly solicited them, they didn't want to. They didn't want to talk to me. They kind of avoided me because they were afraid of a direct solicitation again. So that's one of the things I love about this strategy is where it's just an ad that's popping up in their newsfeed. Even though you're targeting them directly, they don't view it that way, and so it makes it a really powerful way to market to them because they just don't. They just don't see that, they don't view it that way. It doesn't damage the relationship at all. So that becomes a really powerful way of doing it. And then as far as cost goes, it's really inexpensive. So we talked about a list of like 500 people. The way that Facebook ads work is on average, the cost per impression, meaning that each time the ad is shown, it's usually around 1 cent. So if you were running an ad to say 500 people, that's probably going to cost you in the neighborhood of around $5, $6, something like that. It's going to be super inexpensive. So a lot of people right now, you may be doing direct mail to stay in touch with your past clients or your sphere of influence. And obviously direct mail is quite expensive. So for what you would spend for one direct mailing, you could market to that same audience of people on Facebook for an entire year just because it's so inexpensive. So that's my favorite strategy for marketing to SOI, is just being able to market to those people. And then as far as the kind of content that you put in front of your SOI, my belief is that these are the people that you have the closest relationships with. And so because they know you, I firmly believe that it's just a matter of staying in touch. So some of the content you put in front of them would obviously need to be real estate based so that they think of you as the real estate professional. So any of your business activity is great content for them. Just listed, just sold, under contract, any of that stuff, because they view you as they just view you as a successful real estate agent. Things are going well, and that they want to do business with you. Let's see. Do you recommend implementing all marketing techniques at once or one at a time? So the best answer to that question is yes. So what I mean by that is some of the techniques you can do multiple at a time. So for example, when we talk about that marketing wheel, right? The wheel where people are seeing your content all over the place. So with an ad on Facebook, you can check many of those boxes off. So I can have my ad on Facebook be seen on Facebook. I can have it go to Instagram as well. And I can also have it go to third-party websites. So even if they're off those platforms and they go somewhere else, they still see your content. So with strategies like that, you can do a lot of them at once. But like, for example, even though there's a lot of moving parts to this, really what we're talking about is in most cases, you're going to be doing like 2 posts per week on Facebook. And then I recommend, if you can, shoot 1 video per week. And if you can't keep that schedule, then do one every other week. So basically what we're talking about to implement the systems that I'm talking about is the time that you would dedicate for this is doing 2 posts per week, and then either 1 video per week or 1 video every other week. That is the level of marketing that you're going to need to do. So a lot of you dedicate time every single day for prospecting, calling people. I'm recommending the exact same thing. Dedicate part of your time each day to this, but rather than spending your time calling 1 person or calling 5 people, you get a lot more leverage by recording a video and sending that out to your whole list, because now you're in contact with everybody. So to answer your question, it kind of just depends what the strategy is, but my formal approach that I take with the people that I work with one-on-one is we solve problems in that order. My first priority is I want to solve your lead problem. Let's get as many leads coming into your pipeline as possible. And then the second priority is, once the leads are in, now let's nurture what we've got. Let's drip on those people and start working towards conversion. So that's my approach, is lead generation first, lead conversion second. Second question, or next question, if I don't have a current listing, how would I get started? So if you're wanting to generate buyer leads and you don't have a current listing, the easiest solution is just to borrow one. So it doesn't have to be your listing, you just have to have permission. So when I was a brand new agent and I was doing marketing way back when, this was back when marketing was mostly the home magazine that people would pick up at the grocery store. I didn't have a listing then either, and I just borrowed a listing from someone from the office. And for the most part, if you approach people the right way, they're not going to question you about it. So, I mean, imagine if you were a listing agent and somebody came up to you and said, hey, you've got a great listing there. I'd love to run some ads to see if I can sell it for you and find a buyer. Would that be okay? Right. In most cases, you're going to be like, yeah, knock yourself out, go sell it. Right. So again, in most cases, people are going to give you permission, but that's the most important thing, is just get permission. That way there isn't any issue. Okay. And then also, even if you don't, it's just a second part to that same process. So one of the campaigns that a couple of my clients are running right now that's performing super well is they're marketing to empty nesters. So the 50 and up crowd, people that potentially want to downsize. And rather than marketing a specific listing, what they're doing is they're marketing a list of listings. So a list of homes that are single level, easy to manage, either have no stairs or very little, properties that are smaller, easier to maintain. And that's what they're marketing to these empty nesters, people wanting to downsize. A couple of my clients who are running that, they're generating leads right now at about $1.50 per lead. It's really inexpensive, and they're seeing some great results with that. So in addition to being able to market just one listing, you can also solve the problem by marketing a list of listings, and obviously you don't need any permission for that. So long story short, there's always options. Okay. Perfect. Any other questions? Will I share the recording? Yes. So this is being recorded, and as soon as we're done, probably take me an hour or so just to get that final file, since it's going to be a large one. But yes, I will send that out to you, so you'll have the replay of that. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. I'm going to finish here. So again, if you are interested in having our services help you market your business, again, just go to that website, kevinsmullin.com/apply, and we'll be happy to schedule that breakthrough session and show you exactly what it's going to take and build a custom plan for you. Otherwise, thanks for your time here. Go ahead and keep killing it with your business, and appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and to share this information. So we'll talk soon. Have a great day and take care.